To answer your questions, Ian Higgins here with Sam Perry and Dave Edwards. Boys, 2-1, series done and dusted. Thoughts?
Fair result. Probably a bigger gap between the sides than 2-1 suggested. Already, though, in Australia, so many what-ifs, aren't there? What if Smith and Warner were there? What if we played a game at the Gabba? What if we won a toss or two? You know, it would have all been different. No, not really. India were better than us, fair and square. They've won 2-1. Probably could have been 3-1. We should thank our lucky stars. That was the score.
Dave, what if?
What if? Well, there's a lot of what ifs. I mean, I learned that, if you win the toss, you win the game, and that's just the new age of cricket now. Win toss, win game, win series. Well done, India. You won a couple of coin tosses.
And that's the end of the show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Pez, first Indian team to win here since ever. India are really good. They're good. It's annoying they're good. We're not very good.
Yeah. Like, this is sport, isn't it? Like, we're like entitled millennials coming to terms with the idea of not winning all of the time. But sometimes in sport, the other team is better than you. You can sort of roll around it as much as you want. But ultimately, India, like, are just a very good test side. How good? We're not really sure just yet, but they smashed us.
They smashed us, and it could have been so different. I mean, if we quickly go back to the first test, we had them 4 for not many. I thought, this is going to be like any other Australian summer where we come and dominate whoever comes to Australia, but it just wasn't the case, was it? And now we're having to deal with the fallout.
Lads, we were doing live shows around the country, tickets still available for Brisbane and Canberra. And at the end of the first day, you might remember on stage I said, you know what, this is going to be a series sweep. Australia just absolutely romping at home.
We all did it,
And it was like the same thing when I first saw the phone. I saw internet on the phone. I thought, there's no way this will work. And once again, I was incorrect.
The phones are only going to get smaller, and then like the iPhone X came out and blew us away.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's the point.
Let's it is a major achievement from India. Asian teams have been touring Australia since 1947 for a collective total of 0 series wins until Virat Kohli and his merry men did it. They had all the components of a really good side. Pujara, just the absolute wall. It was Dravid Mark II, even better. Bumrah dominated our quicks. Kohli, the best batsman in the world. Rishabh Pant came along and hit hundreds.
Daddy hundreds at that.
There were daddy hundreds.
Not just like 100, 110, but like proper dad hundreds, like 150 plus.
Yeah, Australia piling up unwanted records. Here goes. One century in 12 months or something. There was all sorts of numbers about being enforced to follow on or asked to follow on from the Australian side. We were very much chastened, and chastened.
Think of the teams that have come out here as well that involve like Ganguly, Dravid, Tendulkar, all couldn't do what this team have done. And what's scary as well is that England beat them 4-1 at home, and we go to England soon. I was reading about it today. I didn't realise it was an Ashes year coming up.
And also their 16th string spinner took a fifer in Sydney. Ashwin not even playing.
Okay, so the big selection issue was Labuschagne coming into the match.
The natural choice, though, a leg spinning all-rounder at 3.
Yeah.
I mean, just makes sense.
Well, like we've said before, for our era growing up with Shane Warne bowling leg spin and Ricky Ponting batting number 3, you always thought there was this hybrid wild dream that one day there'd be someone who batted 3 and bowled leg spin for Australia. Didn't think it'd be Marnus Labuschagne, but good luck to him. A really good 38, to be fair.
One of the other big takeaways from the game, lads, was that there was no play happening when they could have been playing. There was rain, there was some light issues. You just want to get out there, but then we couldn't get out there because of the rules of cricket, the laws of cricket. Sorry, not rules, they're laws.
Well, I saw a lot of people on Melbourne on Twitter gleefully arcing up over Sydney's weather. It's just never good that time of the year in Sydney, isn't it? And people, talking about the number of washouts that there have been at the various test grounds in Sydney. 25 in the history of cricket. Melbourne 9. Never a washout in Perth. Maybe we should just play every test match in Perth.
I mean, and this is maybe where we're going wrong, lads, because there's a lot of consternation about what's wrong with Australian cricket. I mean, the two entities that stepped up least through this summer was the MCG and the SCG. I mean, they're the kind of bedrocks of Australian cricket. And here they were producing the worst wickets and the worst weather together. Come on, MCG and SCG, step up.
Well, we were praying and longing for a live test match of the SCG. We finally sort of got it, and it was an active test match sort of, and we couldn't even get in 5 days of cricket. Therefore, we must move the Sydney Test match where we can only win these games.
Yes, absolutely.
Offshore.
Move it offshore.
Offshore, privatise for better efficiencies. It is important though. We're throwing mud, we're slinging mud everywhere, but why don't we be a little bit more kind of effective and efficient with how we're talking about this and talk about our learnings. Let's use a corporate word that means nothing. Learnings. What are our series
It's always
learnings?
really important to take away learnings from an experience.
Exactly. He goes, you're going to kick us off. What did you learn this series?
I learnt not much, but I did learn some things. That doesn't make any sense. So one thing that we were searching for, longing for desperately, always desperately, never smiley, always desperately, we were looking for an all-rounder. We tried to fill that role with some Mitch Marsh. We tried to fill it with some Marcus Labuschagne. And then there were some other candidates. Now, the first one we're going to show is, I mean, it's a tough time of year, January. You know, you've been drinking for a long period of time. You're full of turkey and ham. And then you come and watch Usman Khawaja bowl at the SCG Test match when the other team are 590 or something. So here's Usman Khawaja's best ball that he bowled.
Now the ball has been thrown to Usman Khawaja.
Captain and vice captain's body language suggesting it doesn't get much better than this.
Now, when we're watching that, it's just dry, it's dull. That was actually one of his better balls in the over because his first ball was about a waist-high full toss. The fourth ball of that over was a dot ball and the crowd cheered, and I thought, well, that's a great way to start the new year. But then I thought about, how do we finish the end of the year? How do we finish the end of 2018? Well, it was Aaron Finch bowling one of his first balls in Test cricket, and here's Aaron Finch giving all his best go to be all-rounder for Australia.
Well, here we go. Still no new ball, and we're seeing a bit from Aaron Finch. That's got a left arm spin.
Well, this is on the back of Payne saying earlier, we had the stump mic up saying to Finchy, the 2 overs in Shield cricket recently or last year that's the most nervous I've ever been facing a bowler. So because of that, he's saying, I'm hoping Punt's just as nervous. Oh,
look at
goodness. What is that?
So show some respect.
And that's how we said goodbye to 2018. What a cricketing year it was for the Australian people. I mean, that was the equivalent of like when you're bowling in the nets and you're batting against a guy who's like never bowled before in his life, and you just look at it and you don't even try to hit, you just catch it, and then you like throw it back. That was the equivalent in a Test match at the MCG.
Well, I'm glad that was your number one learning, he goes,
Yes,
from the entire series, historic series of India's win. One thing that I learned that I'd like to pass on to the viewers is that, and this is kind of contextual with the Sandpaper Gate and everything else going on, the culture review, we're focusing a lot on the result, 2-1 India, a record loss for Australia, a whole bunch of unwanted records, but although we don't win anymore, apparently we're good blokes now.
Yeah.
And so we've got a few examples of that. I want to focus in on our captain who led the way, Tim Payne. We've got some footage and some audio of him dealing with the rival wicketkeeper Rishabh Pant. If we could throw...
Fancy that, fancy, surely. Extend your little Aussie holiday. Beautiful town, Hobart, too. Get your nice apartment on the waterfront. Have you made for dinner?
Solid, guys.
You babysit?
Solid.
Take the wife to the movies one night, you look after the kids. Come on, Gazza.
So, yeah, much laughter and much merriment at Payne's noble and virtuous verbals of Rishabh Pant. And it kind of continued into a little mini-series in and of itself. We have some graphics coming up, I believe, of what happened at Kirribilli House. There you go. Now, this is Pant very humbly accepting babysitting duties from Tim Payne's wife. Hilarious stuff. But that's because this summer was about... let me rephrase. Until this point last year, Australian cricket had always been about winning and doing so dishonourably, and then we got used to that. So this summer, because of the culture review, was about losing and doing so honourably, and I thought Tim Payne exemplified that best, very nobly, both wit and humour. I'd like to see the thing with Pant continue on as a bit of a mini-series. I'd like to see Pant now go to the Hurricanes, become captain, dump Payne unceremoniously, and teach him a lesson about how the alpha tree works.
I'm a little bit worried, that he's only just met Pant and he's entrusting babysitting duties to somebody who's just met, a tourist as well. I'm a little bit concerned. I was thinking about calling docs, didn't, but thought about it.
Well, he's only 21, so he's probably just doing it part-time hours just to get the money out while he's studying.
Cash in hand. Tell the ATO about that. Lads, I have a learning of my own.
Yes.
And I think a graphic is going to come up now, and I think we've all been thinking it. But there's only 83 sleeps to go until Smithy and Warner are coming back.
As we go to Ware,
As we go to Ware, straight into the side. I don't know about you guys, but I'm waking up every morning. I've got a calendar next to my bed. It says amount of days until Smith Warner return, and I'm crossing off the days gleefully as I wake up.
It's like an advent calendar for Smith and Warner. Every time you open it up, you get a little chocolate.
You get a little chocolate,
or
or a little sugar hit, because that will be the sugar hit that we need to carry us forthwith.
Okay, lads. Well, I mean, everyone's doing it at the moment, but everyone is doing their combined 11s for the Ashes. I mean, there will be 2 Test matches played in between the Ashes and.
I think Warnie's done 3 today.
He's done 3 today, and they've changed every time.
None of them.
Stark's in none of them. Stark's in none of them. So we decided to compile the grade cricketers 11 that we want to see take on the Poms over there in whenever the Ashes is, August or something like that. There's a World Cup. It's very confusing this time of year, January and stuff. So we thought, well, how do you start this side off opening batting? So we thought that you'd start off with a brash opening batsman who also knows how to manipulate the ball. This is an important role because we want someone who's abrasive, but also can do a little bit for the bowling side, even if they're not actually bowling.
His or her opening partner would be a bookish, broadsheet reading intellectual who is good with a crossword and has an investment property. Always good to balance that out with the opening batsman. I don't think I need to comment on that further.
No, you don't. And I think this number 3 speaks for himself. We need Sir Donald George Bradman in the side at number 3. In order to win the Ashes.
I don't know how to get him back. He just needs to be in the side.
Yeah.
Who's going to bat for this team, lads? Well, it's going to be an aggressive blue-collar worker with a sleeve tattoo. Now, this really brings us back to our roots. It also looks scary for the opposition. They'll obviously have their sleeve rolled up, or the hero look, as it's often called in the grade sphere. It also implies that they will not be any singles and only dealing in boundaries. So they're going to bat for
They may
Australia.
or may not have a criminal record as well.
Almost definitely.
That person will no doubt share a huge third wicket partnership at an important period in the series with an alpha male with an aggressive widow's peak. So it's not to be necessarily confused with a number 4 batsman who's got the sleeve tattoo, etc. But it's still similarly quite a muscular man. There's a lot of chest, there's a lot of domination going on, and that's really important when you're 3 wickets down to have two rigs in the side scoring runs. Or what am I talking about?
Equally important, Pez, number 6 is, well, essentially we need Andrew Flintoff 05. So we've been chasing this kind of recreation for many years in the all-rounder position in the Australian team. But I think we just need to get Andrew Flintoff and get a time machine back to 2005.
God, we've wanted him so badly, haven't we?
Desperately.
We haven't wanted anything more, any person more than Flintoff 05 in the Australian side.
You've said it 3 times today. We just need him in the team.
Lads, who's going to bat 7? Well, I'll tell you, it's a transcendent generational keeper batsman with an endearing sense of fair play. Now, that obviously speaks to someone who we used to have in the side, but not anymore. Is it a rival broadcaster? Maybe they've got shares in the UN, I'm not sure, but we just need someone who's amazing at 2 skills in the sport, and they'll win us games batting number 7.
Just not asking much. Number 8 is a harsh political attack dog that does not bat or bowl. Look, the reason we say this is because any side worth its salt needs someone at number 8 who doesn't bat or bowl, and obviously because Australia are now good blokes who don't win, we obviously need to turn that person back into a harsh political attack dog.
Yes.
Okay, obviously. Number 9, another obvious selection for the Ashes, is a mystery spinner who won't shut up about that true crime podcast. I don't really know where to go with this other than that podcasts are an interesting new medium and a lot of spinners listen to them.
I know the fans listening, they're saying what else is on. But we need to speak about who's going to play number 10 for Australia, and that is Bernard Larkham. We need a medium slow seamer who's never been kissed. And I don't know why I just said that live out loud on television, but someone who's never been kissed, there's
a hint of desperation to them.
There's a desperation to them, I mean, salt of the earth type, a little bit vulnerable maybe.
2 months in Europe,
humble.
You might get kissed.
They're humble,
And finally, legs 11 for the side is lanky guy who wears boot-cut jeans and trainers on the circuit. I'm about to corpse. I can't do it.
Very good, lads. I mean, we've all had a laugh now. But, the selection crisis is no joke. And, I think that it's now night time that we have a bit of a roundtable discussion on this. And it's with that in mind that I present segment 2 for today's episode. It is 6 harebrained schemes to neatly solve our selection crisis.
This is important, isn't it? Because, again, you can sling mud wherever you want in Australian cricket. I mean, we are in a veritable sea or ocean of negativity at the moment.
Yes.
So many problems, systemic, players, selectors, schedules, you name it. Someone's got a problem with it, but we need solutions for it.
Yeah, you're right, Pez. I mean, the selections are the number 1 talking point on everyone's tongues around the country. Tongues are wagging, and we're just going to join that discussion. I mean, the whole Labuschagne thing, the Marsh thing,
the whole
Hanscom
thing.
in out,
The whole
Finch,
thing.
where's he batting? It's just a whole discussion, and we thought, well, people are reaching out to the grade cricketer, and what do they think? What does the grade cricketer think?
Well, let's neatly solve it.
We'll neatly solve it. So we've got a couple of schemes, and as I said, there's no wrong answers. This is a roundtable discussion, so just throw out there whatever you will. The first idea or scheme that I have to solve our selection crisis is a postal vote.
It's a postal vote. Yeah.
Let's take it to the people. I mean, we've seen it done recently, somewhat controversially, and yes, it cost the nation $122 million.
Oh, huge amount.
But it's a small price to pay in order to give the nation what they want.
Yes.
So I'm obviously calling on Scott Morrison and the Liberal National Government to institute a postal vote. I don't care how much money it costs. We've got to find out what the people want and select the best team for the Ashes.
May I ask, without any preparation behind here, what they're voting on?
Well, there's going to be, it's like filling out the Senate. It's going to be a lot of text. And you just fill in your, there's a lot of candidates.
Who should be selectors.
Yes, and you go 11 down to 1.
You vote above the line and below the line. How to vote cards as you
How to vote cards, yep. It's
I mean, the biggest concern, lads, would be if Russian hackers got involved and all of a sudden, Amarnas Labuschagne batted 3 for Australia, for instance. That would be the huge number one
huge
issue.
allegation.
So postal vote.
I think, lads, just reading this, because I've never read this before, a lot of our plans are just going back to the old times, and this is no different because the next plan is to reinstate the entire 2001 side. I just think that things were better in 2001. Sure, you could probably buy property, on one salary.
It's great. We avoided the Y2K crisis.
Yes. Stable government. We knew where we stood, sort of, but not really.
Yeah.
I just feel better with the names. I knew who was going to play. The team was the team.
Yeah.
The team was the team.
Hayden Langer, Ponting, Michael Martin, Steve or Gilchrist. Wongless went for me. That's worrying, but he goes, I would go a step further, if I may, and say that even if tomorrow, when Justin Langer announces the side for the Sri Lanka series, which will absolve all problems we've had until this point, when we load up on runs against someone coming last, I would venture that if he actually picks the 2001 side, and they walked out against Sri Lanka, I would feel good and I'd watch it. As Hayden and Langer walk out to bat, I'd think, even if they failed, I still feel good. I just watch the way Langer picks up the bat or the way Hayden walks at bowlers. He can't see it anymore or
It'd just
whatnot.
be nice to see what they're up to as well, just checking in.
It's like a Survivor reunion. You just want to see what your favourite character's up to these days.
Exactly.
Even though they're all got broadcast positions on either one of 2 networks.
The next thing, lads, in terms of neatly solving the selection crisis is to involve Simon Kadich somehow. Don't know exactly how just yet. So as we know, Australian cricket is ultimately a contest between the good blokes 11 and the bad blokes 11. Kadich, as we all know, is captain of the good blokes 11 and represents everything good about Australian cricket. He's had a great career, he's got the right attitude, he takes on the right people. It is an election year after all in Australia. I don't care where Simon Kadich is placed. He could be chairman of CA, he could overthrow Kevin Roberts, now sorry Kevin. He could be the president of the ACA, sorry Greg Dyer.
So many
or
opportunities.
Alistair Nicholson as CEO. He could be selector, he could be captain. I don't really care. He could be number 5. Get him in there somewhere, somehow, and he will help neatly solve a selection issue.
He'll solve it really neatly, whatever he does. The number 4 Hare-Brained scheme, and one that I hold quite dearly to my chest, is Trevor Hones and Greg Chappell. They're very senior members of the NSP, the National Selection Panel. But I've got a few little kind of concerns about whether they're able to use the internet. So my suggestion would be to enrol both Trevor and Greg in a seniors computer literacy program. We need to fix the communication issue between the selectors and the public. I don't know if Trevor and Greg know how to use the internet. I'm not sure if they stream Shield matches on CATV. Not sure if they have Twitter accounts and they're able to see what Macca or other blokes with internet and Twitter accounts and 45 followers are talking and saying about the selections. I don't think they're connected with what the public think.
Yeah, that's right, it is, and the experts are on Twitter. And we've found that recently as well, just scrolling through the internet, and that's where all the experts are.
So just a short course, maybe 2 weeks. I know some telcos have rolled out such programs.
Tech-savvy seniors.
Tech-savvy seniors, get them involved, get them online. That's the solution. It's 1 of 6.
Okay, well, mine's a little bit more sort of stable than that, apart from grabbing those 2 deliberately. But I think we just need to be copying England's. Now, you see a lot of this in other codes where you're just like, well, what are the All Blacks doing? Well, we should just do what the All Blacks are doing. And what they're doing is churning out generational athletes on a daily basis again and again. So we should just do that. But I want to know what England are up to. England all of a sudden are very good, and failing that, Ireland, they had a 100 scorer this year against Pakistan.
They had someone score a ton, we didn't score a ton. Ergo, let's do what they're doing.
Let's do what they're doing. I was also having a look at the 4th tier of the ICC table this year. Uganda have got 4 wins. That's 1 more than Australia. Just had 3 test wins. What are Uganda up to? To be fair, Uganda, very strong side at the moment.
Yes.
But I just like them to go overseas and see what they're doing.
And finally, I think probably the most harebrained scheme of all is to actually pick players based on merit using metrics such as runs and wickets. I don't want to be overly wild or anything like that, but suffice to say there are players in Australia who are performing at domestic level who aren't getting a look in. They evidently don't know the secret knock at the door to be selected for Australia. And we are advocating a reversal of that policy, and dare I say, reinstating the policy that has worked for over 100 years in Australian cricket, and that is shield runs and wickets.
Okay.
Silly.
Well, that wraps it up. I mean, 6 harebrained, admittedly harebrained schemes to solve, neatly solve our selection crisis. I think we've done it.
We mentioned earlier, Dave, the experts that are on Twitter that can provide Messrs Hones and Chappell with the advice that they need to neatly solve selection crises.
Yes.
We've got a few questions from those people now.
Oh, good.
Is as part of our Ask TGC
Let's give them a platform.
section. So they've asked us a few questions. I'll kick off. This one is from Reg Turnbot, so I'm always a little bit concerned when the word bot is in a name, but nevertheless, here's his question, I presume it's a he. Is it acceptable etiquette to share protectors with your best mate? Not even confirming that's even used for cricket purposes, but is it acceptable etiquette?
I think so. Well, certainly your best mate, not mere acquaintances, but your best mate, that's a blood oath. Although you'd hope that blood isn't in the protector, because then you might need to see your GP.
Good point,
And
Edos.
don't share it if there's blood in the protector.
Yeah, don't.
See a doctor if so. I think it's a good way just to meet people generally. I mean, I'm always, the way tight jeans have been going on for males especially, it's a great way to, just pack heat non-stop. So yeah, I mean, share it with anyone.
Okay.
Great way to meet people.
I definitely don't have a problem with it. I did know I played some cricket in England, and they were I'm just stereotyping entire people, so I apologise in advance. But in England, they were extremely reluctant to share cricket gear around, and for me,
That's interesting because in England they're also very happy to go in communal showers with both teams. They've got those big showers.
But when
with
you walk out
40
to bat,
blokes.
Edos, you see like the bat change. I mean, that is proper village. If you ever see that in a non-village game, that's like the worst thing that can happen.
I'd sooner have protectors shared than bats shared on a purely social basis.
Absolutely.
All right, next one. This one comes in from Vincent White at Vincent White 14. He said, "I've played cricket all my life. I know it's a waste of time and ruining any unlikely prospects I have with the opposite sex. So why do I feel the need to play a late cut with a water bottle whilst walking through the street at 3 p.m? Good question.
Well, you don't. I mean, the only thing that surprises me here...
He feels the need.
Well, the only thing that surprises me is the shot selection, because when I'm walking down, Sydney CBD, I'm not going back to play a late cut because I'm already walking forward, so it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Obviously, you would just take one step forward and either clip it off the legs or, drive it into Sanity or whatever store you're walking past. In 2001.
Very, very worrying that although we don't compare notes, that was precisely what I was going to say. That why would you play a late cut whilst walking forward?
No, it would be really hard.
It's not a good late cut. I'd call it more of a sort of a back squirt if you were doing that. Look, it feels really good. I'd like to know from Vincent whether there's water in the bottle itself, because when there's a little bit of water in the bottle and you play that late cut, you can feel the water rush to the bottom of the bottle, and that feels really good. So, I feel that need also. You have a brother in arms, Vincent.
I don't know if it's just like a water bottle thing. I mean, I find I'm getting squared up a lot. Like if a bit of rain around recently on the east coast, on the eastern seaboard,
Sydney in
I often find like my bat's coming a little bit gully to mid-wickety, and I'm feeling I'm getting a little bit, and then the shoulders coming through. I just hope Ricky Ponting's watching this at the moment just to teach me.
Well, I only get squared up when I'm in an elevator with a mirror in it. Oh, yeah. Because then you can actually watch yourself get humiliated.
Yeah. Do you then tell the imaginary bowler well bowled? Just like a little nod of the head.
Yeah, always.
Dummy.
Yes.
Okay.
Always. Simon Ledger comes in with the next one. He just says, what does it say about a bloke having his Bucks party on a Saturday and won't let anyone in the team know any details?
Well, Simon, it says everything that you need to know about your teammates and you as a person.
Yep, you're not invited.
He's cleverly delineating his real friends from his cricket friends. And everyone knows those are different entities and must never be merged ever.
Yep.
Final question from Vishnu. Someone else want to read it out, because I'm just...
okay. Vishnu Chari at the Twitter handle United_Journal. Interesting.
Sounds smart.
Having given up grade and club cricket after reading your books to make some actual progress with life, in brackets, saved up for a house, got a new car and got engaged in 12 months, I still can't get myself to sell my cricket bat. Any words of advice on letting go?
This is a very interesting question to me, Edos, because there's a bit within the question that I feel like mining. Firstly, the need to tell us the time frame it took him to save for a house, get a new car and engage. And then if you link that to the fact that he's sort of saying, oh, I can't let go of my cricket bat, but he actually says, I can't sell my cricket bat. So he's still looking to make a buck on that, you know what I mean? And I'm sort of thinking, like, if you really want to let go of your cricket bat, just like give it to the club, or, you know, give it to your friend, or burn it if you really want to. But he's sort of saying, like, oh, should I put it on eBay? Should I make some more money? So I've got a few queries within that from Vishnu.
You know, everyone knows that the cricket bat is an extension of the self.
True.
Not to get too philosophical about it.
No,
but
get philosophical.
Okay. You know, but it is really hard to let go a piece of yourself. So, you know, I can see why he's out. He might probably hit a 30-odd once, felt really good about it, that bat. So, yeah, very difficult to let go of that.
I like your idea of burning the bat like it's an effigy. I like that idea. I just think, like, once you sell the bat, that's it. That's the end. It's like having, like, everyone's got a tennis racket around the house.
Yeah.
You know,
I could if I wanted to.
You're just asking you, do you want to hit? Do you want to come down and have a hit? You know, like, that never happens. And when someone does ask you, you think, oh, God, no, I don't want to do that. Oh, goodness me, no. Or no.
God, no.
I want to
Get
do
away
that. Too
from
many bad memories. I want to burn the bat like it's an effigy. Sam Perry, Dave Edwards, thank you very much for your company, as always. Ian Higgins here signing off for the Grade Cricket on 7. We'll see you next week.